I'm Jordan Raynor, and this is the Word Before Work. Today, we're starting a new 5-week series here on the Word Before Work called Working in Exile. The days in which Christian values were largely embraced in business and culture are long gone. We know that. Our sense of exile feels increasingly acute. How are you as a Christian professional supposed to respond to that sobering reality? In this series, we'll explore that question together as we unpack these 5 biblical principles for working in exile. Let's start by reading Hebrews 13:11 through 13 together. The high priest carries the blood of animals into the most holy place as a sin offering, but the bodies are burned outside the camp. And so Jesus also suffered outside the city gate to make the people holy through his own blood. Let us then go to him outside the camp, bearing the disgrace he bore. Again, that was the writer of Hebrews in Hebrews 13:11 through 13. Chances are that your workplace feels increasingly post-Christian. The HR department is now encouraging employees to customize their gender pronouns. Talk of religion is quietly discouraged, and your employer is making headlines for their support of pro-choice causes. In the face of these trends, it's natural to wonder whether you should quit your job and find a new role in a ministry or maybe a business led by a fellow believer, a workplace that is, quote, better aligned with your values, end quote. Listen, God might be calling you to do that, but I seriously doubt it for 2 reasons. First, Jesus himself worked in dark places. As we saw in today's passage, he, quote, suffered outside the city gate, end quote. Now, most literally, this phrase refers to the fact that Jesus was crucified beyond Jerusalem's city walls. See John 19:7 through 20. But theologians agree there's another meaning to these words. You see, while it was perfectly within God's power to give Jesus a vocation inside the city gate, in the temple, the most holy place, he chose for Jesus to spend the majority of his life working outside the city gate as a carpenter, where he undoubtedly suffered more blood, sweat, tears, and temptation than the average priest. Commenting on today's passage, one group of theologians says, quote, that to follow Christ fully is to follow him to the places where his saving help is desperately needed, but not necessarily welcomed, end quote. Jesus' example is the first reason to stay in your increasingly post-Christian workplace. Here's the second. Jesus calls his followers into dark places. In the Garden of Gethsemane, Jesus cried out to his Father on behalf of his disciples, saying, my prayer is not that you take them out of the world. As you sent me into the world, I have sent them into the world. See John 17:15 through 18. Here, Jesus is reiterating what he said in the Sermon on the Mount when he called you and I to let our light shine before others, that they may see our good deeds and glorify our Father in heaven. Nobody sees light shining in an already bright room. Light can only shine in dark places, which is why Jesus calls us to work and live amongst the lost. All of that brings me to the first principle for working in exile. A Christian's default position should be to rush into dark workplaces, not retreat from them. But if we stay, we are going to need lots of help in maintaining a distinctive Christianity while we work. It is to that challenge that we will turn to next week. Today's devotional only scratches the surface of how God's word connects to our work. If you want to go deeper, sign up for my free 20-day devotional called the word before work foundations at twbwfoundations.com. These email devotionals are designed to help you gain a rich understanding of the biblical narrative of work, how exactly your work matters for eternity, and what those truths mean for how we ought to work today. Sign up right now, again, totally free at twbwfoundations.com.